Okay, picture this. A man walks into a room full of people who want him dead. Not because he made a mistake, not because they found out the truth about him, but because he's been there for so long, he's become one of them. He laughs at their jokes, drinks their chai, mourns their death. He's so deep in the lie that some days he has to remind himself what his real name is. That is Dhurandhar's central terror. Not the bomb threats, not the gangster violence, not the geopolitics. It's this. What does a man become when the performance outlasts the person? And Aditya Dhar builds an entire 3.5 hour film around that question. Whether he answers it, well, that's what we need to talk about. Aditya Dhar is not a filmmaker who sneaks up on you. After Uri in 2019, which turned House the Josh into a national catchphrase and made Vicky Kaushal a superstar, he became the name attached to a very specific brand of Indian cinema: patriotic, surgical, and emotionally calculated. Then he was gone for 6 years. 6 years in Bollywood time, that's basically a comeback. And he came back with this, a two-part, nearly 4 hour spy thriller set entirely in Karachi, Pakistan. A film that loosely draws from real events: the IC-814 hijacking, the 2001 Parliament attack, and the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. A film where the hero doesn't wear a uniform, he wears a disguise. The pitch was simple. An Indian agent goes deep undercover into Karachi's Lyari district, one of Pakistan's most volatile gang-controlled neighborhoods, and dismantles the ISI underworld nexus from within. The film was originally one film, then reportedly in October 2025, during post-production, Dhar realized he had shot nearly 7 hours of material and none of it felt expandable, so he split it in two. Part 1 dropped December 5th, 2025. It made 1,349 crores worldwide. It's now the second highest grossing Hindi film of all time. And it is deeply divisive. Some critics called it a masterpiece, others called it a propaganda in service of a hawkish India. Dhruv Rathi released an entire video calling it dangerous. The film's team reportedly skipped Anupama Chopra's THR awards after her review. Right-wing trolls attacked critics who scored it below 4 stars. This is a film that means something to a lot of people for completely different reasons. And that, honestly, is the most interesting thing about it. Here's the structural genius and the structural problem of Dhurandhar all in one idea. The Hollywood Reporter India called it the Trojan horse that got comfortable inside the enemy. The Greeks rolled the horse into Troy and then forgot to attack. They just started enjoying the noise outside. That's Dhurandhar. Ranveer Singh's Hamza goes so deep undercover for so many years that the movie itself loses track of the spy thriller it was supposed to be. What we get instead is, and I mean this as a genuine compliment, a Karachi gangster epic. The chapter-based structure similar to Uri gives every major character their own introduction, and these introductions are spectacular. Akshay Khanna as Rahman Dakat enters to what can only be described as main character music. Arjun Rampal's Major Iqbal, the ISI man, is devil personified. Sanjay Dutt as SP Chaudhry Aslam, the corrupt cop, he leans in, he knows exactly what film he's in. And here's the thing that no one talks about enough. The film's greatest accidental trick is this. By making the Pakistani characters magnetic, charismatic, and genuinely interesting, by giving them cool music intros and complex motivations, Dhar does something that most Bollywood patriotic cinema never does. It makes the enemy real. A reviewer from Pakistan noted, and this is fascinating, that Dhurandhar shows Pakistani characters as more badass and three-dimensional than almost any Pakistani film ever has. The Trojan horse got comfortable, but maybe that's actually more interesting than the original plan. There's a debate that's been raging online since the film has dropped. Did Akshay Khanna outperform Ranveer Singh? Here's my answer. The question misunderstands the performance. Ranveer Singh is playing a spy, not a movie spy, a real spy. Real spies don't announce themselves. They don't have monologues. They listen. They absorb. They let the room happen around them. The Times of India called it subdued yet scorching. And that's exactly it. There's a quality of withheld intensity in his performance that is genuinely difficult to execute. You can feel him making calculations behind his eyes. The danger isn't his fist, it's his patience. The entire point of Hamza is that he cannot afford to be memorable. Akshay Khanna is a firework. Ranveer Singh is the person watching the firework. Now, is Akshay extraordinary? Of course, he is. His chin, his posture, his specific brand of unhinged but controlled menace, it's career-defining work. Letterboxd has essentially started calling this Akshay Khanna's Dhurandhar, and you understand why. But the idea that Ranveer lost to Akshay fundamentally misses what Ranveer was asked to do. An actor who fully commits to disappearing, to being the least interesting person in every room he walks into, that is not a failure of a performance. This is the part of Dhurandhar that I can't stop thinking about. At a critical moment in the film, during its recreation of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, Aditya Dhar stops the film. Literally, he puts text on screen explaining what you're about to hear are actual recordings from that day. The real audio of terrorists communicating with their handlers. He does the same with the 2001 Parliament attack. Sucharita Tyagi put it perfectly in her review.
Aditya Dhar seems to be saying, it doesn't matter if I don't give you names and facts and I say this is fictional. There is truth under all of this.
But here's where it gets genuinely complicated. The film markets itself as inspired by real events. When you question the accuracy of something, the response is it's fiction. When you question the emotional stakes, the response is, but these are real recordings, real deaths, real history. That toggle, fiction when convenient, reality when emotionally required, is a genius artistic and ethical sleight of hand. And here's the thing, it works. On a visceral level in the cinema, with those recordings playing, your body doesn't ask for a fact checker, it just feels. That's exactly what makes it powerful, and exactly what makes some people deeply uncomfortable. This isn't a question with an easy answer, but any serious conversation about Dhurandhar has to sit with it. Okay, let's steelman the criticism, because it's real, it's specific, and it deserves more than dismissal. The runtime, 3 hours and 34 minutes, and this is part 1. A film that ends without a conventional climax, not because the story is complete, but because part 2 is coming in March 2026. The final act of part 1 gives you momentum, a magnificent stretch with the title track and Akshay and Ranveer in a car. And then it stops. Multiple online discussions compared it to being handed a full plate of food and then being told the actual meal arrives next year. R. Madhavan's character. Ajay Sanyal, the IB chief, thinly disguised as Ajit Doval, delivers random pro-BJP commentary throughout the film. A Letterboxd review noted he makes pro-BJP comments every few minutes instead of being good at his job. On paper, the character is a patriot, making hard calls. In practice, the dialogues lands like a political advertising that briefly wandered into a thriller. The continuity error. Rakesh Bedi's character reportedly drives vehicles that didn't exist during the film's 2007 and 2009 timeline. This sounds like a minor thing until you realize the film is asking you to trust its claim of grounded realism. Then it matters. And the deeper criticism, the one that won't go away, is the fiction-reality toggle problem we talked about. When a film uses real audio recordings and real event as emotional scaffolding but simultaneously shields itself from accountability as fiction, it's doing something that we should notice and name, even if we choose to enjoy the film anyways. None of this makes Dhurandhar a bad film, but a good film can still do complicated things, and pretending otherwise doesn't make the complications disappear. The word Dhurandhar means someone who can bear extraordinary burden, an expert, someone who carries what others cannot. Aditya Dhar chose that title deliberately. Maybe for the character, maybe for the country, maybe for himself as a filmmaker making a 3.5-hour spy film about a neighborhood in Karachi that most of his audience has never visited. But I keep thinking, the person carrying the heaviest weight in the film isn't Hamza, it's the audience. We're the one being asked to hold the fiction and the reality at the same time, to feel the grief of those audio recordings and still clock where the story is taking us politically, to admire the craft and interrogate the intent. This is genuinely Dhurandhar thing to ask of a viewer. Whether Aditya Dhar earned the right to ask it, that's a conversation for part 2. Thank you so much for watching.